Hey guys, how's it going? So I know we missed our meeting. I didn't really follow up with you guys like a few days in advance, so I can understand if you didn't put it on your calendar. It is the holiday season, so things are busy. But I figured since I had all of this stuff available, I would, and I had it ready to rock and roll. I'll just make a video, send it to you guys, and you guys can watch it at your convenience. So first of all, Joshua Tree, this is, you probably see the listing below. Um, is in fact your house. And if it's not, well, then I'm sending this to the wrong person. So, and I'm sure what you're thinking and would be appropriate is this is just another person that's going to tell me that I need to lower the price and ultimately offer me no real value to sell my house other than putting a sign in the yard and then put it in on the internet. And if you feel that way, I completely understand. And that maybe I don't really even know what I'm talking about. So, after all, it's your house. You guys know it better than anybody, and you're both very educated and smart. So I'm not discounting any of what you're saying. As a matter of fact, in many ways, if you guys feel that way, I would appreciate it. So I'm going to try to focus the majority of what it is I'm talking about on marketing. I'm not going to try to focus it on price. I can tell that you guys had it listed for about the same amount of money since you've had it on the market. I think I talked to you guys last year. It looks like you had 2 runs with the realtor. Maybe you tried to sell it by yourself once. So, and the price has been pretty consistent. So you guys have an idea what you want to sell the house for, and I'm completely fine with not budging that, as long as you guys are okay with that. So my plan isn't to in any way, shape, or form change your guys' ideal of price, but I do want to talk about the market as a whole. So what I'm going to do is talk about the big picture. So we're talking national numbers, maybe even international numbers, and then we're going to hone in on your neighborhood, your house, that sort of thing. And then from there, maybe, and then we'll talk about marketing real quick. But I think it's important that we understand the environment that we're in. So when you make decisions, you understand the consequences and benefits of each decision that you make. So first of all, here's in marketing, boom, national numbers. This is an index. We can definitely see that internet sales and internet traffic is the thing that people are using to find houses. So this is Zillow. Truly, when I started here in 2010, I mean, it was still pretty significant, but I mean, yard signs and newspapers were still pretty prevalent. Now we can see newspapers are almost zero. Yard signs are even diminishing, but they're still important. So anyone that says that a yard sign is not important, you should show them the graph. And to be honest with you, if my buyer comes from this category, when it comes to buying the house, I don't really care, but this is still the most likely area that we're going to end up finding a buyer. So buyers, agents. So this is the amount of buyers out there using an agent. We got 89% of every single buyer that purchases a home uses an agent. It would be wise to leverage other buyers agents in order to bring buyers to your house. Here's days on market. Average for all of Michigan is up to 30 days. So you can see here, a lot of the country is actually 30 days. 40, we got, this one's 46 to 60. I mean, Florida right now is 30 to 31 to 45. So Michigan's doing pretty rock solid. The recession hit us pretty hard. And so we're kind of pendulum swinging back. I mean, all the building trades kind of went away. People still had babies. People still moved into the area. People are still growing up. So there's demand for houses. There's just not a lot of houses available for people to purchase. So this is why we get these numbers. Here's the percentage of depressed properties. So short sales, estate sales, so a short sales, judge ordered sales, and then foreclosures. And so what we're looking at is about 2%. So the average, now the foreclosure rate in general, like what the banks anticipate they will foreclose on, is 4%. 4 or 5% is what they're anticipating as a natural default rate. So this is under that, almost by half. So pretty good. I mean, when we were 2012, I mean, it was 35% of the market share was foreclosures. So now we're down to 2%. So generally a healthy market. This is something I want to show you guys. So this is inventory or sales. Actually, it's, yeah, we're change in sales. So I mean, under 100, we're looking at negative 11%, and that's not because people aren't willing to buy homes in that market. It's just that there's not a lot of homes available in that market. And then we have 2 to 250. You know, we're a little bit lower. Again, there's not a lot of homes for sale in that area, so as a result, it's lowering the number of sales. And then where you guys are going to be at between the 250 and 500,000, we're seeing an increase by 13% between this year and last year. So, and then we can also see too, where we get into a luxury market here. I mean, we're seeing a decrease actually in sales, and that's not due to lack of inventory. That's due to a lack of buyers. Supply and demand. So year over year supply. Again, this is an index, but right now we're down 5% from where we were as far as inventory goes. So in general, from a seller's perspective, you guys are in a pretty good environment to sell your house, which is good. I'd much rather be in this inventory period, or I'd rather be here than where we were 5 years ago. So just kind of talking to you real quick about your house, your area. So okay, I'll move that around a little bit. K19 Portage. So we're seeing that houses sell between 200 and we're looking for between 2 and 4. So 3 and 4, we're looking at selling about 2 months. So if your house isn't selling within 2 months, I think we got to figure out why. So this is the amount of houses on the market. This is the annual rate of sale. This is the months of inventory. If you do the algorithm, so basically, if no new houses came on the market, demand stayed the same. Theoretically, there should be no houses by 3.5 months. So that means the average house is going to be selling in 1.8 months. So if we're going to move down here to also school district, you guys are in the Portage School District. Just want to make sure that's right on your list. The answer is yes. So, I mean, we're looking at 2.1 months. I mean, realistically, the numbers are indicating here that you guys should be selling the house within that time. So if you're not, the house isn't sold in that time frame, I have to start asking questions. Why? Because numerically, this is where it is. I'm going to move on. So looking at general numbers of houses that are comparable to yours, here's what we're hashing out here. Now, there are not really a lot of foreclosures in your area, as you can expect, so we don't have to rule those ones out. But one thing I do want to point out, and I think this is kind of pertinent, is we look at sales price in comparison to asking price. So we're talking 90, 98, 97, 78, 97, 97, 97. This one went above, and it's quite a bit lower than yours. But I mean, if we're looking at in general how people are negotiating, we can see no less than 10%, and typically we're seeing, on average, we're probably seeing 5 to 7%. Or 5 to 3%, somewhere in there is where negotiations are actually landing. So this isn't a direct indicator of if necessarily you put your house on the market for 500, then you should get an offer, you know, for 10% less than that or 5% less than that. But what this will indicate to me is this is what buyers and sellers are willing, in a sense. This is when buyers are willing to start entering the game of negotiations. So they're willing to enter the game of negotiations when it's between 10 and probably 7% around of where they're anticipating the house to be, and then they're willing to negotiate within those frameworks. So this is kind of an idea of how our buyers thinking. And then I got numbers too, which I don't think you guys really care that much about. I think you have your own ideas of what your house should sell for, and I completely respect that. So, but I did run through the numbers. I mean, we have what Zillow says your house is worth, what your SEV says your house worth, what your SEV ratio says your house worth, and then what price per square foot. Given the numbers and the data that we have, we can average them out. And this is where the averages will fit in your house. So we're seeing anywhere realistically between 290 and 453. Somewhere within that ballpark is what these rough numbers are coming out. And so I'd have to look at your house again and talk to you guys a little bit more before I could actually come up with something that's concrete and something I can put my badge behind. But anyway, so this is where they come out. So quite a bit of numbers, and I'm sure you've seen something, at least you have from us when you last talked to us. So the next thing I want to talk to you, and I think this is probably going to be the more interesting part of the conversation here. I think this is going to be a more interesting part of the conversation, is your home specifically and then marketing. So here's all the homes that are currently on the market in the Portage School District. And I think that's probably the most appropriate pool to pull from, because I believe, one, those houses have a tendency to be similar, and two, people have a tendency to be looking in this specific school district when they end up purchasing a home. And a big draw to Portage is the fact that its school system is excelling. So you have 160 homes currently. Now, every single one of these homes, within given your price range and bedrooms and how similar it is to your house, they're your competitors. And we have to look at them like that. Every single one of these are competing. So there's one buyer theoretically that's going to end up purchasing your house. I'm just kind of want to show you guys. We look at pendings. These are houses that have pended probably within the past 60 days. 103. So that's 103 buyers that for whatever reason chose to buy another house and didn't choose to buy yours. And the question is why? Though that is the fundamental question. How can we get someone to say yes to your home and no to somebody else's? That's what we need to know, and that's what we need to execute when we find out. Now, so just kind of give you, we'll look at one more number here. Solds, we're going to have almost 1,000 sales. So within year to date, we had 1,000 for sale. That's roughly, I mean, we're looking at 90 sales a month. So in my opinion, I mean, now I don't have this, I'd have to narrow this down to a house that's more comparable to yours, but I can figure out what that number is. And we need to look, if there's 10 sales happening with a house that's comparable to yours and they didn't pick your house, that's an issue. That's an issue. And I don't say that's necessarily an issue with price. That's an issue with marketing. So again, I'm going to move to, how are we going to make your home more competitive? That's the question. So we saw that a bunch of other people looked at your house or looked at houses through the internet. So why don't we leverage that? And here's one way that I plan on doing it. Now, this isn't perfect. My admin's going to run through, and there's some grammatical errors or some things in here that don't necessarily make sense. But this is the rough draft for a listing that I just got. And basically what this is an emotional appeal. So buyers make decisions on emotions. That's why all of the advertisement you see is emotional advertisement, right? It doesn't usually say anything about the actual product itself. You go buy a car commercial, they say Ford tough and how we've been here for so long and we're true Americans or whatever. They're making an emotional appeal. So that's what we need to do when it comes to marketing your house. 3 beds, 4 baths, anyone can find that. Yes, they need to know if it's going to fit their bare bones and needs, but then after that, they need to know if this house is going to fit the emotional need that they have. Okay, and so like one just thing I said, right, this is from a quote from the seller. So we do this specifically for your home. It says, we looked at many homes, but this was the first one we could call our home. Okay, so again, we're coming up with an emotional appeal. And if we were to read this, you know what I mean? And we would, so like open concept allowed space between people, but also a sense of connection. This was especially helpful for the holiday parties. Okay, fireplaces added a nice ambience. At the same time, a little extra heat. So these are things that I'm getting from the seller as I'm talking to them about their house, and I'm basically making a narrative or a story that can phase. We love walking the neighborhood. You know, like it just, the backyard makes us feel safe and nice. So I try to use these type of words so that when people look at the house, when they see this, it tugs on their heartstrings. And then we do something else which is important in marketing. It's called social proof. Okay, so if we get someone from out of town, and it's likely because the average price for Portage is around $215, right? Your house is almost double that sales price. So it's likely someone from outside of Portage is going to come and try to purchase your home. Like, it's going to be a Stryker executive, it's going to be a Pfizer executive, it's going to be somebody coming from outside. And so Berkshire Hathaway has a pretty extensive relocation department, so we're going to be leveraging that. But then we're going to come up with social proof. So this is what the neighbors had to say about it. And one thing that we do is we call all of your neighbors and ask them if they have anything that would benefit them and this benefit you guys as the sellers, or anything you'd want to tell us about the neighborhood that would potentially benefit a buyer to know. And this is where those testimonials came from. So this is very much a boots on ground, hands-on approach to marketing, and we're leveraging the internet. So that's the number one thing. That's one of the things that we. The other thing I want to talk about, and I don't necessarily have a slide for this, but every single I don't know for a buyer is actually a no. And so the question is how do you go about eliminating those I don't knows? And one way that you can do it is called a pre-purchase inspection. So the idea here is that if you had two vehicles of the exact same year and the exact same model, the exact same color, and one of them had a pre-purchase inspection on it, you know, it was a certified pre-owned car, you know, licensed mechanic gave it a stamp of approval. It had all of the records for all of the maintenance that was done on it. And the other one had nothing. Which one are you more likely to pay full price for? I think the one that gives you the insurance that you're buying a good deal, or that you're buying a better deal, or you're buying a quality product. And that's what we'd end up doing as well. So you do a pre-purchase inspection on the house. So that means roof, for water heater, furnace, all of it gets inspected. Structure, right? So it's structured, so they know it's structurally sound. Then you have your pest inspection, so there's no pests in the house, things that buyers often worry about. Any corrections that are requested or as marked as need repair on the inspection form, you fix them in advance. Then you have a radon test, so you don't have any radon issues with it. And we provide that along with a home warranty, and we market your house as a certified pre-owned house. So what the goal is we're eliminating potential hazards in advance. And so someone wants to write you an offer, let's just say they want to write you an offer at $424,000. They want $1,000 off the property. And you can say, well, I would like to take that. However, if I do, I want to make sure you're not going to ask me for more repairs. We can throw them the home inspection, which they should have already have seen by now, and say, listen, we'll take your offer on the contingent that you accept the house in its current condition. And these sort of things, so there's 45 days when someone writes an offer in comparison to when you close and you make your money. 45 days is a long time for something to go wrong. If they find something they don't like, that's a negotiating tool that's in the toolbox of the buyer. And that's not our advantage. That's not to our advantage. So if we remove that leverage point from them, the likelihood is we will end the sale having more money. We will net in more money in our house and have a smoother transaction. So that's my marketing stick. Certified pre-owned, testimonials from your neighbors. We have we have it also the same sort of thing. We have it in paper. It's tangible, so it's there at the house with all of the information on it, along with the testimonials, social proof, and then we'd make an emotional appeal to the potential new buyer, and you guys share that on all your social media websites, and we draw traffic. That's the plan. I'm not planning on just putting a sign in your yard and putting it on the MLS and hoping. So the other thing you guys have done, by the way, I just want to say a good job with the photos. It looks very good. We would obviously do our own professional photography similar to what you guys already have. We'd have a stager come in. and she would recommend what you guys need to do to stay. You don't have to listen to her or not. That would also be at on our dime. But I mean, there's a lot of advantages to the house, and I think marketed correctly, you guys can get close to the price that you want, if not exceed it. So anyway, that's what I got. I appreciate you guys, and I am going to stop the recording. So thank you so much for listening.